Hiya Brad, lovely to meet up with you and catch up. We started doing some work on your games. Quick recap on the key points that we covered. Related largely to a few little tweaks at setup. First thing I wanted to do was get the handle down a little bit more. The handle was sitting quite high, which facilitated a certain move during the takeaway. When you were working on your driver, unfortunately if I was to put the driver footage up here, the images will be too small. You do tend to sit back on your heels quite a lot. So the feeling with driver is that you're flexing or putting some flex in the ankles at setup, and that in turn just gets you over the ball a little bit more athletic position with your driver. So a little bit more flex in the ankles with driver, certainly handled down with both iron and driver as per Charlie Wee in the centre image. Baseline setting would be a line drawn up the shaft would hit you on your belt line. You can see that if I was to draw the line up the shaft on the bottom left image, it will be hitting you more in the navel, which is why during the takeaway the club was being rolled under playing quite quickly. So the club sets very much behind you, rolls behind you, sets a little bit too flat. At the top we get across the line, so everything now is shifted to the right. Once we get a swing that's shifted to the right, then what we've got to start doing during the through swing, and we can see this from face on, is start using our hands excessively to try and turn the corner. So there's quite a high rate of closure on the club face. Club overtaking the hands quite quickly. In order for us to do that, the hips sort of stall a little bit. A lot of flex goes in that right knee. Again, that flexing of the knees, particularly the right knee, is an attempt to shift the plane line to the left, and in other words, turn the corner on the way through. So we've got a rolled takeaway, producing an across the line position at the top, which means the club's coming a long way from the inside and has to be worked really hard to turn that corner down to the bottom. Coming through the golf ball, a lot of flex in the right knee and a high rate of closure on the club face. What we're trying to achieve is more of a takeaway where the hands and the club trace an inward path. There's no independent rolling of the club face, so both the hands and the club work up the plane line before elevating onto the higher line due to the flexing of the right elbow. A more inline position at delivery, allowing the player to use the ground properly on the way through without having to roll the club face excessively, facilitating a lower exit with a more neutral club face. When viewed from face on, what we see is that the hips are continuously in motion. There's no sort of rolling or severe rolling of the hands. There is a rolling of the hands, but it's not a severely independent rolling. And we can see that as the right arm reaches parallel to the ground, we have a much different look. Both legs have straightened, allowing the hips to continue to turn and allowing us to regulate what the club face is doing. So the feeling here is that the hands are in and the club is out. You demonstrated this quite nicely, but you did do better demonstrations of this exercise during the session. So the feel is to create that. When we look at the takeaway, it still rolls under, but it rolls under less, which is a realistic goal early in the piece. At the top of the backswing, we're a little bit less across the line than we were. As we come into delivery, the club is less behind the hands, which means that the corner we have to turn at the bottom is a little bit more gradual. We've been working on trying to stop quick. The act of stopping quick means the arms must stay on the rib cage. If the arms stay on the rib cage, the club closes down less. And if the arms stay on the rib cage, in order for the arms to stay on the rib cage, what must happen is what we can see here from face on. We must start to use the legs more appropriately. We push up out the ground. There's less flex going in the knees. That brings the hips out of their forward tilt, allowing them to continue to rotate. And we can see there that the rate of closure on the club is far, far less. We're starting to see some movement in the legs. We're pushing up as per Grant weight in the centre of your screen. So each swing is improved, but we still need more of the takeaway that we're seeing here with Charlie in the bottom centre. So we need more of that move, and we need more of the position we see Grant weight in the top centre. So hands in, club out, and then hitting a lot of shots where we're stopping quick, keeping the arms like steel rods, not letting the club roll over. Good improvements in a short space of time, relatively short space of time, particularly after several years, shall we say, of incorrect method where you've relied heavily on the rotation of the club and educated hands that you can see on the top left hand screen. Some players can do that and make it work. The vast majority of us cannot, and certainly cannot do that under pressure. If you get any questions, feel free to give me a call, but really focus on those two pieces, the takeaway and the feeling of stopping quicker with the arms very straight in the through swing as a conditioning exercise. Good luck with it, and look forward to working with you again in the coming months. Well done.